Hello, it's Frantz Kantor here again, doing another caricature. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
I'm
surprised.
I'm here with
Jim Bridges.
And who are you, Jim Bridges?
I helped set up the Australian Cartoon Museum here down in Melbourne, downtown Docklands.
And what does the Australian Cartoon Museum do?
Well, we celebrate anything that's in a cartoon form.
Yeah, so it keeps Australian cartoons alive.
Alive.
Yeah.
It's alive.
So, what are we going to do today? We're doing caricature, another caricature, and we're doing it of this fine lady here.
Diana Rigg.
Yeah, Dame Diana Rigg.
Dame Diana Rigg. Dame Enid Diana Rigg.
Yeah. Well,
No,
this is her
Diana
from the 1960s. She was the partner of this gentleman here, Patrick Macnee. And both of them were the Avengers.
Yeah.
Not the Captain America Avengers, but the black leather and bowler hat Avengers from England.
Bowler hat.
So we're sort of like a spy show, you know,
But
MI5
right
special operatives or
But
whatever.
the humour was right off the wall.
Yeah, and she's she's a beautiful statuesque figure in theatre. She comes from theatre. This is her with Ollie Reed. They appear together in a sort of a 1960s adventure. This is some of her smiling shots, publicity shots. She's very beautiful.
Have you got a shot from her from the Game of Thrones in here?
Yeah, so
where's that shot?
you could see that there's some elements about her, obviously with her mouth open. She's got these beautiful teeth.
She has.
Big choppers. She has a very upturned nose, where you can nearly always see her nostrils. Very statuesque, very long limbs, long face. Big cheeks. And we're going to be basing our caricature on this one because I kind of like that expression and the haircut. This is her when she took over the role of Emma Peel. Well, she took over the role of Steed's off-sider, Emma Peel, from Honor Blackman.
Oh, another actress, but Honor Blackman she started the role with that kit on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was one in between. There was
There
was a person in between.
Yeah. I think she did two roles and that's it. And then Diana, that's her.
Very expressive face.
But have you got her as the Queen of Thorns?
This is her.
Well, that's the
More or
lady
less
of the theatre.
now.
Yeah, there she
And this is her comparing her 1960s role with her 2017
the Queen of Thorns.
roles.
What's her name? Alina Tyrell.
Tyrell.
Yeah, she's the Queen of Thorns.
Yeah, so she gets poisoned in the. She's a poisoner.
Not nice.
She poisons.
She's not nice.
Well, she's very definite. She's a very strong person, and she's the only one that can really stand up to Cersei. I've actually done a little. I'll just explain this a little bit. Now, in the world of caricature, in the world of drawing faces, it's generally used as a general rule to, have something like a three-quarter view of Schnozola, a three-quarter view, which is that, basically. So you can draw the head in the three-dimensional construct or concept and employ things like perspective and foreshortening and things like that. So it gives you a little bit of information of the side and a little bit of information of the front. It's what they call a three-quarter view, which is kind of nice for don't pick his nose. It's kind of nice for three-dimensional drawing. So we're going to be doing a three-dimensional drawing today, but we're not doing a three-quarter view. I have been looking at various shots of her from a three-quarter angle, and I find for a caricature it's probably better to there aren't many caricatures of her. It's probably better to use something that is instantly more recognizable, because I'm very worried that she's got these very beautiful features, which means that they're very ordered, they're very sort of well-proportioned
Yes,
elements.
balanced, yes.
Right. So that means that the areas that we're going to focus on are kind of crucial to the recognition factor of her face. So the eyes and the nose and the mouth, of course, which is in this sort of Mexican mask type of configuration, or the T-zone if you're studying makeup. This is where all of our efforts will be placed. There's obviously iconic elements like her hair and her costume, etc. But within the recognizable elements, the eyes and the nose and the mouth, we're going to sort of zero in and make sure that we get that. Now, from a three-quarter angle, it was like obvious that she had these, because she had these very, there's not a lot of lines on her face, so there's not a lot of geography to play with. So she was developing these different looks. And some of the looks didn't look like her. You had to sort of look twice and look at the name underneath, to see if it was her. So she has a definite natural beauty that comes through, and I think it comes through with her smile. She's got this sort of
she's got a very approachable smile. How can I say it? She had this sense of irony in her smile all the time.
Yeah,
not cynicism.
No,
it's friendly, but it's ironic. And it's ironic.
Well, it's kind of...
And even when she's looking serious,
yeah,
you get the feeling you've already missed the
she
beginning
could be
of the
mocking
smile.
you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. When you see the banter between her and Steed, you'll see, and even, the banter between her and George Lazenby, you'll start to see her personality come
in the
through.
Bond film.
Yeah.
On her secret...
on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
That's right. Actually, George
Mrs.
Lazenby
Bond.
Actually married her, so she was the only Mrs. Bond in all the movies.
Yeah. Wasn't he married again recently, or in another movie?
No, well, I think they're... No, I don't really know, but I mean, the new thing is to extend his personality, like the relationships, how he cares for people.
Yeah, so they're not all expendable.
Well, everybody was expendable in the films, weren't they? Like he's always smashing up the cars and what's that guy used to say? Don't wreck this car this time, and all that. What was the guy who did all the gadgets? Q.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did 18 films, I think, and he was also the Crusader in The Last
18?
Crusade, who's looking
Connery.
after the Holy Grail. Yeah, he's the old Crusader who's 2,000 years old. But he's matter of fact, and he can't stand Bond because all these little trinkets he gives him, the cars and the gadgets, he always destroys.
Right.
And of course there's always new women in every movie, except for Moneypenny, but he never actually went out with her, did he?
You got the impression from the first episode, from the first movie, that they had a relationship.
Before Dr. No came along.
Yeah. So, because their banter is very sexual, or it has sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
Anyway, there isn't so much sexual innuendo in the Avengers, but there is a lot of sexual tension.
Yes. Yes. But also she was
and she flirts a lot. She
totally,
flirts
but she kicked a lot of
with
ass.
a lot of
That's
the
the
villains.
point. She was throwing people all over her shoulders and all that sort of stuff, and she could take care of herself more than Steed could. Steed was a gentleman.
Yeah, he would just mainly hit people with his
brolly,
with his umbrella.
His brolly, yeah. So, and plus she was part of the swinging 60s, really. And every show they'd put her in another costume, or they'd put about 3 different costumes on her.
Yeah.
So she was a bit of a clothes horse for the 60s. Plus her tough attitude about how she dealt with bad guys.
Yeah.
That really put her up, and plus her natural beauty. So there was nobody like her.
No,
nobody
and
like
this was her attitude in real life too, because she stood up for herself.
Yes.
And at one time she was getting less than the lighting guy.
On the television show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
and she still does to this day. She's...
she gets less than the lighting guy?
No. There's some pretty good interviews in the last couple of years where she's really bemoaning the fact, and she calls a spade a spade. Well,
good on her. That's what I say. I mean...
But she didn't follow the usual feminist... She was sort of... Some people claim she was anti-feminist.
I don't think you can really claim to be.
No, but she didn't follow the crowd. She had her own independent thing. Also, she was a strict Christian, which surprises a lot of people.
Well, I think it's the leather suits, that people take for granted. That's very sexual. Well, that scared her because she got a lot of pickups from guys on the street, people that she didn't even know.
Yeah.
And
she hated being a sex symbol. I mean, she's a great actress.
It's not so much the sex symbol; it's the things that went with the sex symbol, the creepy, creepy callers, and the stalkers. She had a lot of stalkers, I presume too.
Are you presuming, or
I'm presuming?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think she would have had her fair share of problems with people, because that the whole idea of the leather suit is kind of echoes of bondage.
She started wearing that
and
in the early episodes, but I'm pretty sure she sort of after that she went into Carnaby Street. She got Carnaby Street gear.
Yeah,
with all those squares and stuff. One of those pictures you're using from, she's got lots of squares and things.
Yeah.
Parkinson.
The man or the disease?
Parkinson, the man,
right,
said she was the most desirable woman he ever met, and he said she radiated a lustrous beauty, and she did, and that smile of hers was. It's a bit like the Mona Lisa smile, isn't it? You can't really nail it down, but it had irony in it, And
as I said,
even the serious pictures, I always got the impression that the photographer had just caught the beginning of the smile, or even before she's about to. I don't know. There was just something in her smile that really.
Well, okay, so
and even when she's playing terrible people, like she played Goneril, I think, in King Lear, who was the worst of his daughters. Terrible person. She does it with a bit of a smile in her face, you know, and that makes her even worse than if you're doing it straight,
Yeah, because then she's definitely mocking you.
Yeah.
So there was that sort of concept of the gorgeous girl that could be a dominatrix, mocking you, mocking the villain, and making little gags, and side notes and things, little side gags to Steed. And they would have that sort of comical banter.
Yeah, when they were doing that show, it was all scripted, of course, but she and I like the way you put the hat down the bottom. She and Steed used to
ad lib
a bit. And no, work it out. No, they'd decide what they were going to do, and they'd pass it by the writers and stuff. And of course, that's better, And they really sort of bounced off each other, and it's beautiful to watch. It really is.
Yeah,
it's just beautiful to watch, and it's sort of. It's great when you see that on screen. I mean, I saw it in those early Goddard movies when he was married to Anna Karenina, where he's virtually flirting with her on camera. The director behind the camera, it's just, and she's flirting back while she's playing the role, And it's wonderful stuff to see. It's beautiful stuff,
Yeah, well, other than Mrs. Peel, I wasn't really... I did see the Oliver Reed movie and the James Bond film.
What was the Oliver Reed movie?
I can't remember now, but it was another adventure, like a period drama, I think, or period, not drama, period.
Well,
comedy,
most of her career has been
adventure.
on stage.
Yeah.
She's even done musicals. I mean, she was in Follies in London, I think, which is a great Stephen Sondheim masterpiece. And she was also in the film A Little Night Music, which is terrible. And Little Night Music, I don't know how they buggered it up, because it's one of his most famous shows and accessible shows, because it's all based on waltz. All the songs are based on waltz tunes, and it's very accessible. And she won 3 Tonys, and Tonys are the top award in theatre in America.
Yeah, she's no slouch in the, thespian
She got
stakes,
she got an Emmy
sure.
for Mrs. Danvers in Rebecca. Mrs. Danvers is the woman who burns down the house in the Hitchcock movie.
In Rebecca,
Yeah.
in the stage play.
Well, it's based on a book, but she
Oh, is
plays
it?
Mrs. Danvers, who's in the Hitchcock movie. I'm just saying, she's the woman who burns the house down. She goes nuts. And
In Rebecca?
Yeah, the film
No.
Rebecca. That
She
was the
doesn't.
first film that Hitchcock made.
As in the 40s or something.
Yeah, yeah.
She wasn't in the 40s.
No, but she played it on stage. It became a
Oh,
stage
that's what I'm
play.
saying, yeah.
But it was, they turned it into a stage play. It was originally a book. And her father was in the army, and apparently she spent about 8 years in India as a child, and her second language was Hindi. But, anyway, she went to a few schools when they came back to England, and she went to RADA, which is the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and her classmates were Glenda Jackson and Sian Phillips, and both of those women are extraordinary actresses, like some of the top dramatic actresses of the last 50 years of the century,
Yeah.
Glenda Jackson went into politics, and Sian Phillips was married to Peter O'Toole.
Uh-huh.
And she was extraordinary. She was in I, Claudia's film. She played the mother of Constantine, and she poisoned her own son. He doesn't trust her.
She's sort of a Medea role.
Oh, well, no, worse than Medea. Although that's saying something, isn't it? Medea. She actually played Medea.
Did she?
Diana played Medea on Broadway. I think she won it.
She sought these strong female roles, these challenging female roles.
people just rang her up. Do you want to play this? Do you want to play that? Because
And she said, yeah, because it's a gig.
Yeah, and she worked for the Royal Shakespearean Theatre from about 6 years, I think, from 59 till about 64 or 5. And she even did musicals. She did Follies, as I said, and she did Colette, which was a musical about the writer, Colette, the French writer. And that was written by Tom Jones and somebody else, but it bombed. It was in America, it bombed.
Tom Jones, the writer, or the Tom Jones, the singer?
Who's Tom Jones, the writer?
Isn't it Tom Jones who did?
No, I think it's the
Danny
singer.
Hill or
I think it's the
something?
singer.
Ah.
And her behaviour in that Bond film is typical of her, because she's sort of very flippant, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's still sexy and all that sort of stuff, but it's not. She's not oozing sexuality like you're supposed to in those shows. She's just.
Yeah.
You know,
So I also
she's
remember
real.
her with Vincent Price in Theatre of Blood. That was a very favourite film of mine. Back in the day, renting it on DVD.
Wasn't that also a television program?
No, it had Ian Hendry. It had
So she's in that film.
with Vincent Price. Yes, she
Okay.
plays Vincent's daughter.
Okay.
And Vincent is a ham actor that
Who was a ham
commits
actor?
suicide. Yeah, he commits suicide, and all the critics.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
she plays many roles,
Yes.
male roles as well.
That's
They're
right.
kind of murder by, kind of like a reprise to the Dr. Phibes, murder by the plagues of Egypt or something. In this case, it's murder by plays, Shakespeare. Murder by
Yeah.
Shakespeare. Which they could have used that, instead of Theatre of Blood.
She also-
Murder by Shakespeare.
She also played Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady, and later on she played the mother of Henry Higgins as an older woman.
Right.
So, and she was delighted to do that apparently.
Yeah. So she's sort of theatre royalty. And she lent quite a lot. I mean, theatre royalty, obviously.
I mean, she was dame.
played.
She was a dame in 1994. That's quite a few years away.
Yeah.
And she was CBE'd. Do you know what CBE stands for?
It sounds painful. What's that mean?
Well, it's some sort of
I don't know.
gong. She
Is
got
it?
that in
She's been
1988. She got a BAFTA in 89. And she did a lot of famous classic roles in theatre. Mother Courage, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? She would have been terrific in that.
I saw the transition from, I can't remember the name of the actress before her. If it wasn't on a Blackman, it was someone else.
Yeah, she only did 2 roles, I think, that girl. And there was the one after, who copped a lot of flack because she wasn't Diana Rigg.
Too sweet.
Yeah.
You needed to be naughty. The
Well,
audience,
I mean-
the audience needed to be spanked.
She wasn't naughty. She just
She just looked naughty. They wanted her. It was a fantasy, I guess. That this leather-clad dominatrix, dominatrix, and
one of the most
that was kind of a disturbing element of her career. I think it kind of frightened her.
She infiltrates one of those hellfire clubs.
Yeah.
In one of the episodes, and of course they keep on playing it all the time because she's whipping this bloke and she's got all the leather on and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, they were onto a good thing. They knew that.
But I mean, she was just so funny as well. All that. I mean, she'd dominate you, but she was funny. And there was no one doing that. Nobody has ever done that. She has a special place, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, she's good with Vincent Price.
She even had her own US sitcom called Diana.
Oh, really?
That was in '74. I don't think it lasted the season. I'm not sure, but it only went for one season.
Right.
Yeah, and she was in The Great Muppet Caper.
Oh.
Which I don't remember in it at all. And she was in a television series called Mrs. Bradley's Mysteries, and she played this sort of like detective.
Right.
And she was in Doctor Who. I think one of the episodes, a later episode, where she was actually with her daughter, who's an actress as well. They were in the same episode, I think.
Yeah, she's, as I said, the theatre royalty, English theatre royalty. So there was some scuttlebutt about her and George Lazenby not getting on, and for years they, kind of fueled that speculation.
Well, I think that would just be the press.
Yeah.
Because let's make a story out of Mrs. Bond. I mean,
yeah. Well, they allowed that.
I remember seeing her on Morecambe and Wise and shows like that.
Right.
She did all sorts of stuff on. I also saw her in a film. I can't remember the title, but she plays a nun in it, and I thought she was really good in it. She joins this.
That I don't know. I don't think I remember that.
It's online. It's online.
I was going to say maybe it was Elvis, but I'm thinking of Mary Tyler Moore.
No.
She played a nun with Elvis.
Elvis didn't play a nun. Yeah. He played a priest, but didn't he?
Yeah, in that movie. I can't even remember it, to be honest.
Yeah. Can you remember any Elvis movie at all?
Yeah. Jailhouse Rock was fantastic. King Creole. King Creole. Let's not do that.
Elvis the Pelvis.
Yeah, so I like the rockabilly style, the early Elvis before the army.
Before the Colonel got hold of him.
And even before the 68.
And turned him into a sausage machine. Churning out sausages. God, he made some bad movies.
Yeah.
I mean, kids in the late 60s are supposed to relate to you can't rumba in a sports car. Oh. I remember all the fights I had with my mates who were Elvis fans. And I said, oh, they're not as good as the Beatles. And, you know, there's only one king in rock and roll, and it's Elvis. He's the king.
Well, thankfully, I never had that sort of thing because when I was a kid, I was too young to see Elvis films. They weren't kiddie fair. They weren't kid-friendly.
I think they were...
Although they did have Yvonne Craig, and I enjoyed her from Batman.
They'd always... I mean, they had Anne Margaret, they had all sorts of people with them. But, I mean, I reckon it was just drive-in fair.
Yeah.
Those movies were just drive-in fair.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And that's where I saw a lot of them.
At the drive-in?
Yeah, oh, God.
Okay, well, I never had that thing with the drive-in. The drive-in movies that I went to were family-friendly. They weren't that Elvis stuff. Like, I think I saw It's a Mad, 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 Mad World at the drive-in. I sat through that.
You never got over that.
Good. Yeah, I liked it.
That's your favourite film, isn't it?
No.
What's your favourite film? You ain't not got one.
I don't know if I've got a favourite film. Depends on how I'm feeling. Films like music, you know, you play films that make you feel good. If you're feeling down, you want to feel better, or sometimes you want to feel worse.
So you look at a horror movie?
No.
So if you want to feel worse, what film are you going to look at?
You know, I don't look at many. I don't look at many horror movies. I've done that. I've done my. I've done my duty. So I don't need to look at them anymore. I've enjoyed them. Now she's got. What I'm trying to do here is see. There is a feeling of the 60s that I'm trying to capture here with the glossy lips and the freckly skin. You know.
They tried to hide that. I thought that was lovely.
English,
personally. An English rose.
Yeah, well, not so much an English rose because they're pale, but this is sort of like a robust. What you call a dolly bird from the 60s.
A valley.
Yeah.
A girl from the valley. Ah.
Dolly bird. So she's the real dolly bird. She's.
Well, they dressed her up as a dolly bird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, wearing all the latest...
Well, it's like you said, she was a clothes horse in many ways, you know, and that's true. And she worked. That worked for her, you know. It gave her a certain amount of style. So I'm giving her a youthful appearance, obviously, with the buck teeth, but she has buck teeth. And the reason why she's got such a long face and a big jaw, a big chin, is because when her mouth is closed, it covers up her teeth, so the teeth are quite prominent. I shouldn't say buck teeth, it's not really buck teeth.
Yeah.
They're prominent teeth.
You really know how to make a girl feel good, don't you?
Yeah. No, they're quite prominent teeth, though.
Yeah.
So, and this is the lip gloss from the 60s. It's a 60s lip gloss. She's got a beautiful, long, lot of mascara, which changes slightly the shape of the face, of the eye, of course.
Dominates
Makes
the
it
eyes.
a little bit.
Dominates the eyes, totally.
Yeah, it's a kind of an Egyptian
Yeah.
Koh-i-Noor sort of, whatever they used. It's a beautiful effect. Very dramatic.
Are we going to talk about my bugbear about drawing beautiful women? I mean, you started to
What's
hint
that
about
mean?
it. Well, it's just that because she has such classic features, and beautiful women have classic features, if you buggerise around with that ratio, you lose in caricature. And I've very rarely seen really good caricatures of beautiful women. It's almost like it's a no-go zone for people.
It is. Well, you really a lot of times you have to resort to something like a cartoon version of her face, so that you symbolize it, simplify it, a lot of it, because it can be a little bit. It can be a little issue for putting in too much details that throw off the. I
mean, she was pretty,
likeness,
but not that knockout gorgeous, because it was her personality that all shone through her. I mean, that's a bigger factor in her beauty than just her looks.
They had the shows were full of innuendo, and she played that up.
Yeah, but I mean, in everything she does, it gets back to that smile. But I'm just saying that I find, like, I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of caricatures in my lifetime, and I've never seen a good one of Ingrid Bergman ever. And
I'll have to try that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, and also other classical beauties. I mean, there are women who aren't that pretty, but it's like the way they're lit or the roles they play gives them that sort of character. Like Liz Taylor, people like Liz Taylor and stuff. But
there's a concept that you're looking for ugly when you're doing a
caricature.
So you're not actually looking for ugly, you're looking for recognition.
Yeah.
And I'm actually studying the effects of light and shade over here too.
Yeah.
Because I'm more concerned with the drawing as a whole rather than just the...
Well, also, you're trying to make it as 3D as possible. The rounded shapes.
I don't want it to be just recognisable.
No, but the cheek in particular on the source picture is...
Yeah, some
prominent.
lovely lighting effects that are, created with her beautiful hair.
It's very... I mean, I like the way you're doing this filming now, because you have on... well, you can't see this on Facebook, but you can see it on YouTube, where you have the source material, the drawing in the middle, and your pencils and your sketches.
I don't know
on
how...
the right-hand side, and I'm just saying that...
I don't know how...
No, I find that really... I think that's really good for the people, because they can keep... And they can look at the picture and they can see what you're drawing at the same time, so it's like they're sharing the drawing process. I'm standing here, I can see it all.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that's really good. I'm glad you're doing that. But at the same time, I'm just sort of... interested in how you actually, when you're drawing her eyes, you used a different source material. Yeah. And then to draw her body, you used a different source material. And now you're using this picture basically for your main picture of the face. And I find that interesting. And do you do that often, or do you think other people do, or,
Yeah. Well, it depends on the reference.
Yeah.
If you can't get a likeness from one, you have to pick another one. There could be an element of something in the other photograph.
But isn't there a danger of taking the eyes from one picture and the body from another and the face from another? Isn't there a danger you're going to bugger it up? Or?
Yeah, of course. It could happen. It could still happen. And look, I'm putting form in here. There's very little form there.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand the shininess of her skin.
It's a slightly...
I'm touching her face with my pencils.
It's a very soft photo.
Yeah.
You're using, so there's not that much information.
No. So I'm interpreting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. I don't think I've got her eyeshadow, which is a bit annoying. I don't think I can get it actually because it's going to be.
To
Let's see what I can do with this. So she's got very dark chocolate eyes.
Yeah, but there's a lot of shadow at the sides of her eyes too in the source material.
Yeah, but the style of the 60s is this very, very
well, it's Mary
dramatic.
Quant, isn't it? Mary Quant. It's
well,
like even Twiggy. Remember Twiggy? She had these very waif-like white face with these huge, great eyelids fluttering away there.
Yeah, so it's very, very strong and iconic, and I think that will put some. She's got this upturned nose, so you can clearly see her nostrils, and not a best feature for anybody, I guess, nostrils, but well, they're kind of like.
I've got nostrils to hold me down, to make me threat,
So,
to make me fret.
You know, it's not really a flattering concept, nostrils, but they're there. The important thing is to not simplify it too much because everything has a shape, right? So you understand, you remember how to draw noses, and you apply that memory to
You're
what
giving her
you're
a
doing.
smaller nose than she has in the source material.
Yeah. But you pick your fights with a caricature. You pick your battles. So you have to sort
That's
of
interesting.
keep that always important. It's always important, isn't it? Relevant. Let's see what we can do with this. This is.
I think
quite,
later on you should draw her as
this is a
she
bit
is today.
dangerous.
As she is today, I think that'd be interesting.
Her cheeks feature a lot in
Yeah.
her photographs today.
And underneath her cheeks, there's a lot of shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're just very prominent. They're very cheeky. So
Oh, cheeky.
it's a very it's a very attractive trait in a woman to have these prominent cheeks because they pull the muscles of the mouth, make you generally easier for a smile. Makes it easier for you to smile, I guess. There's not a lot of wrinkles in her face, but there are now.
Yeah.
But here there isn't because, well, she's in her 20s, but you'd see certain things coming through. She's incredibly fit, and that musculature, that fitness shows up in her features, in her face. These are muscles, and and she gets a lot of use out of them, which you'd expect. Again, she's an actress. You'd expect actresses to. Not having much luck with that. What's happening with this? It's running out of. I might cut to the chase with this one.
That's the back of his head, isn't it?
I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. So I'm just picking out a few elements to, highlight. Just a few. I'm not colouring in a lot of stuff. I just want to sort of pick it out here and there because I think it's kind of nice. And I've given her little shiny cheeks too, which I think help with establishing that skin glow of her skin. Let's try once more with this. Come on, have a jaw. All right. It doesn't want to go.
You run out of ink. Can you refill those, or you just have to buy
Yeah.
new ones?
No, then you got to start pumping it again and things. So, I'm going to pick up another brush. I think next time we need to draw somebody with long black hair.
Long black hair. Dun, 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 dun.
So, yeah, I never thought of her other than, Mrs. Peel. And then I saw her in Theatre of Blood, which, and that was in the 70s.
Was that British? Was that made in Britain?
Yeah, I think it was.
That's right, because all the
American
critics are
International.
British actors, aren't they?
Yeah, Robert Morley.
She knocks them all off. I wonder if that was made around the same time as The Bride Wore Black, the Truffaut film, where it starts off as she walks out of the church with her husband, he gets shot. And then she spends the rest of the film tracking down the murderers and fixing them up. I wonder if that was a... Revenge films are pretty popular, even with in theatre, like in Shakespeare's time they were popular. I mean, basically Hamlet's a revenge play.
Yeah, well, the whole premise was based on Shakespeare.
Yeah, but I mean, you get a guy like Charles Bronson. I mean, he was famous for his revenge movies. Just getting rid of the scum off the streets.
Yeah. Haven't seen a lot of that stuff.
No.
I kind of
Michael
stay
Winner.
away a bit from
Yeah.
the pick and pass style of gritty, realistic.
Well, I think, I mean, he was extraordinary. I mean, he's a great director, Peckinpah, but he's not everybody's cup of tea.
No.
But the people who followed him weren't that good, who actually, made films, or been influenced by him.
Right. Yeah, look, he's certainly... let's get back to Diana. She had like this sexy innuendo in her appeal. So she would flirt with the villains in the show.
Yeah.
In the Avengers.
That's some pretty crazy villains.
Well, Christopher Lee. Who else was there? I think Peter Cushing.
A lot of there are a lot of mad scientists.
Yeah.
In the show.
Well, by the time, I mean, with the show with Honor Blackman was more serious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it was black and white, and it dealt with graft and corruption and crime, just typical type of crime.
She set the template of the kick-ass girl, in leather. But Diana Rigg really, she just made it
She
her
wore
own.
it better.
Oh yeah, and
There was something about her.
There was a great show. It's a pity because what they did, they went to colour, and then they sold it to the Americans, I think, and the Americans put it on against Johnny Carson or something. Up against Johnny Carson or something.
Right.
Forget what it was now, and of course it didn't last, did it? And so all those production values, because they upped everything for the American market, it all just fell in a heap.
Yeah, that happened a lot with English shows.
Yeah, but you see, there was even talk of doing an American version of the Avengers, and it never made sense.
They did, I think.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I mean, how can you recapture that?
Well,
the quality of the show, what you like, the uniqueness of it. How can you do? It's like AbFab. Roseanne Barr and the woman who plays her sister bought the rights for AbFab, and they're going to do AbFab American style. Can you imagine that? I just can't. Well, they never did anyway, but it's just that when you read these things, you just think they're crazy decisions.
Yeah, well, a lot of people like the American version of The Office. They like the English version, but they like the American version as well.
Well, some things work, but I mean, what was that racist show?
All in the Family?
Yeah, All in the Family. I mean,
that was based on the Warren Mitchell.
Yeah, the Warren Mitchell, the silly old cow,
Yeah.
And,
it was heavy even then.
Yeah.
That was like...
Well, that sort of worked, but not everything's going to work, and the Avengers was so British. It's like trying to make an American version of Wallace and Gromit. It just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah, I think you have to, do your own story.
Well, it's just that the British humour in it, it was wacky, and it was like Lewis Carroll's humour. I'm pretty sure the bloke who wrote it.
Totally different tone to, say, Girl from Uncle or Man from Uncle.
Yeah,
that had humour in it as well.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that the humour in the Avengers was sort of, it was like Lewis Carroll's, like there are all these little, it's like a structured logic it's made up just for itself. You know what I mean? And so you have some scientist who invented a ray that it does something totally stupid, but they would follow it. They'd follow that. Then they would then milk all the gags about that stupidity to the nth degree, and you just Americans don't work that way.
Another thing too, the stories were never wrapped to the degree that American stories are wrapped. So there was a little bit of unfinished.
Yeah, but they also finish on champagne.
Yeah,
and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have worked in America. I remember the criticism that came out about Cheers at first because it's set in a bar, and there was all this early criticism of how can you have a show in a bar? It shows alcohol and people getting drunk and all that stuff. It's just
Well, it's kind of the the notion or the idea of a funny drunk. It was like. How does that work?
Well, it does. I mean, certain people can do it really wonderful. The bloke who was on the Dean Martin show and pretended to be drunk in all those American roast shows, he was terrific. I forget his name.
Yeah,
he was terrific. But it's a lot of people think they can do it. At parties and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I remember seeing a bloke reckons this is Johnny Cash singing My Name Is Sue as a drunk, and it was just goddamn awful. It was just awful, and everybody cringing. About 30 seconds into it, they all told him to shut up.
Wow, there you go. Last little piece here, I think, and we'll finish up because this is going over time. A little bit. She's an extraordinary woman, and I'm very happy that I had a chance to draw her.
Do you think if you had a better photograph of that, if that wasn't so soft, it had a lot of lines in it, do you think it would have an influence on the final product?
You still have a problem with the style of makeup is designed to mask the eyes, right? It's designed to hide the geometry of the eyes.
Yeah.
And you need the geometry of the eyes pretty much
it tells you a lot about the person. So to cover that up...
It's all to do with anatomy as well.
Yeah.
Actually, while I'm here, I'll just fix this up a little bit. All right, so swing in 60s. This is my version of Diana Rigg. There is the Diana Rigg. And where is the Diana Rigg that we know? Beautiful smile. In her cat suit, in her leather suit. And this is Frantz Kantor and
Jim Bridges.
And we'll catch you
on the flip side.
On the flip side. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.